I've always regarded commercials in the entire time I've been doing commercials. I've always thought of them because I didn't come from advertising. I came from BBC. So I've always come into commercial advertising and looked at each commercial as a film, right? As a little filmlet. Always have done, and I always will do, I guess. Okay, too late to change now. But I looked at it from a point of view. The first idea was dealing with the look of the thing. And instead of doing a contemporary, absolutely contemporary idea of future, I thought it was more interesting to look back at, I think it was done in the 40s, Alexander Korda's Shape of Things to Come, right? I thought that, to me, if you take those interiors, which are slightly decadent looking, even though, with all their gloss and all their kind of, what was then marvelous architecture and now looks archaic as architecture, I thought that was an interesting look.
Well, what was your reaction when you first saw the board?
The board, I thought, one of two things. I thought, my God, they're mad, because this is terrific from a filmic point of view, and I know exactly how to do a kind of pastiche on what 1984 may be in dramatic terms rather than factual terms, right? And so I thought it was such a dramatic idea that it would either be totally successful or would all get put in state pen.
Were there bits of things that you'd done in Alien that found their way into 84?
Yeah. Because in Alien, the whole process of Alien on the Nostromo, the spaceship, the ship itself, not the alien ship, it became a sculptural problem as to how do you make those corridors look businesslike and real. And so what we did very simply, finally, is in frustration, we bought 3 aircraft and dismantled them. And those 3 big jet bombers actually were then assembled in the corridors in the sculptural process, and that's why it looked very businesslike.
Yes.
Now, those 2 big blank walls at the back of the main auditorium in 1984, we hauled in those huge 747 engines and just hung them on the wall. And they looked like, what did they look like? I don't know, they looked like ducts.
Air conditioning ducts.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Some kind of industrial something or other.
Yeah. So that is, to me, what I call good dramatic bullshit.
Did you have any thoughts on the girl that, as you looked at the board, what sort of person that would be? Let's start there and work back to the...
Yeah, no, you know, as you remember, one of the main problems was actually, funny, finding a girl who could throw a hammer and look businesslike. And so that immediately narrowed down the field, apart from the fact she had to look great. It narrowed down the field, I think, almost immediately to athletes, because we went through the whole process of having, you know, models come in and actresses come in.
Those Hyde Park days of...
The Hyde Park days of casting, which was actually very pleasant. But we finally narrowed it down to actually seeing athletes, discus throwers, hammer throwers, and she really was, I think, out of everybody we saw, was really the only one. You know, who looked right and could handle herself.
How about the skinheads?
One of their trademarks seems to be. It's like a combination of almost like a punk look. For some reason or other, they all seem to walk around with shaved heads. And so we organized one of these rather frightening casting sessions where there were about 300 or 400 youths. And I was surprised how elderly some of them were. I thought it was tended to be a kind of youth movement, but it's not at all.
I think we had 3 generations.
Absolutely, yeah. And we chose 150 skinheads out of that group.
How about Big Brother?
Big Brother, at first, well, when we got into the process of where would the speech come from,
right?
Because the speech wasn't really written up.
Correct.
Yeah. And I think it worked out very well. It's a great speech. Where did it come from?
Steve Hayden manufactured that. Yeah.
It's terrific. And because what we discussed at that point is why not have up the image of Karl Marx, which I guess is what 1984 is vaguely focusing on.
Sure.
And so that was the first idea. So the brief to the casting director was just that. And so the notion at that stage was to get somebody with pale, I think Marx had pale red hair, didn't he?
Yes.
Faded red hair and a little goatee beard. I thought of going to that extent, but then when I actually saw the guy who came in, he was enough. He's interesting enough. He was given manic enough performance.
If you'd have had to double the budget on this one, what would you have done differently? Triple the budget.
Within the same 60-second slot?
Yeah.
Not very much. I think we nailed it.
I thought so, too.
Yeah.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the Information Purification Directives we have created for the first time in history.
On January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.